What up, everyone? Welcome back to Knicks and 4, where we talk everything Knicks. I'm your host, Ayers. If you're new to the channel and you're enjoying what you're watching, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, share a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's get into it. So, been a bit of a hiatus, guys. I was taking a little bit of break during the off season, a little bit of vacation time, spending time with family. But now that the dust has settled, everything is pretty much etched in stone. Free agents have been signed, trades have been made. Now I think it's time for us to really dig deep into where the Knicks will land in the Eastern Conference next season. And we're going to talk about it. So one of the things that we're going to do, we're going to look at a predictions article that's going to give someone's predictions on where the Knicks will land, as well as along with the other Eastern Conference teams. And I will go ahead and, give my thoughts on what I feel about these predictions. I will give my own predictions. And then towards the end, we'll take a look at the fan poll to see what you guys think. So obviously, the Knicks had a hell of a season last year. Obviously, they made it to the second round. They made it past the Cleveland Cavaliers and ended up losing to the Miami Heat. But all in all, the Knicks had a great season. I believe they made it into the 5th seed, if I remember correctly. And, the Knicks have nothing to be ashamed about, right? They went up against a Miami Heat team that was very good defensively, very locked in, very well coached, very well disciplined. And as a result, we were just on the short end of the stick. I believe that the Knicks are going to be better this season. I believe we've added some pieces, as in DiVincenzo, to say the least. And I think with that addition, we should be able to make a little bit of more headway into the next season. But not to keep you guys, let's get right to it. So let's take a look at an article from Daily Knicks posted by Louis Kabatnik. And take a look at his predictions in terms of how the Eastern Conference will look next season. So one of the things that, I'm not going to spend too much time with is the number 1 and number 2 slot. So I think it's pretty safe to say, honestly, guys, that, whichever way team lands, vice versa, is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. I think it's pretty clear as day that they will remain the top 2 teams. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Save for Giannis being injured last season, that was really the only reason why they sort of faltered. And, I expect the championship Milwaukee Bucks to return to suit, whether that's as the number 1 seed or as a number 2 seed. I really don't see any change as far as that's concerned. Now, we're looking at the Boston Celtics. Obviously, they made some additions. They actually lost a few pieces as well, made some signings, but obviously they brought on Kristaps Porzingis, which I believe is a huge addition to the team. However, they traded away Marcus Smart, which, I'm sure a lot of people would agree is the heart of the team, or was the heart of the team. So they got better in some ways and they got worse in some other ways, I would say. But all in all, I think regardless of how you look at it, losing Smart, adding Porzingis, I think that the Celtics will remain a number 1 and number 2 seed. So I'm not going to spend too much time with that. I think you guys can all agree with me there. Now, here is where it gets interesting, right? Because according to Lewis's predictions, right, he has the Philadelphia 76ers as the number 3 seed and the Cleveland Cavaliers as the number 4 seed. Now, here is where I have a lot of disagreements with, right? Let's start with the Philadelphia 76ers, right? So obviously they are in a turmoil, right? They are on the verge of losing Harden. We know Harden doesn't want to stay with the Sixers. We know he wants to be traded elsewhere. And as a result, I really, truly believe that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to go under because of this whole ordeal. Not just because James Harden went out, but let's say hypothetically that James Harden gets what he wants and gets traded to whichever team, right? So we're talking about a Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid 76ers team with whatever pieces they manage to get. I believe it will be draft picks mostly. I don't see them landing a superstar player in return for James Harden. We'll see. But I really think this is like sort of the beginning of the end for the Philadelphia 76ers as we know it, because the key to all of this is Joel Embiid. And I really think because of all of the history between Ben Simmons, even going way back with Jimmy Butler leaving, he has been, not really appreciated in terms of providing him with winning talent that will stay there, right? So I think Joel Embiid is probably going to request a trade towards the end of the season. And because of the whole drama with James Harden, I really think that this team is going to start to go under. And I really honestly see them being out of the top 4 slot. I'll get into where I see them landing towards the end of the video, but I don't think they will be a top 4 seed as some would imagine on paper because they're going through too much turmoil and there's too many question marks with this team. Now, moving on to the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Knicks handled them last season in the playoffs in the first round, as I just mentioned, as you all remember. And while they made additions like Max Strus, George Nunn, I don't think those are additions that are really amount to anything. And to have them as a number 4 seed, I think that's extremely high considering how they ended up last season. And there's always those rumblings, right? We keep hearing about it that Donovan Mitchell is probably not going to stay there or remain there any much longer. Any chance that he gets to leave the team in free agency, he's most likely going to try to get with the Knicks, which was the original plan. So I really don't see this team being in the top 4 slot as well, right? I think it's fool's gold to believe that they will end up being that close. Now, let's move on to the 5th and 6th seeds. So according to Lewis, he says that the Miami Heat will be the 5th seed and the New York Knicks will be the 6th seed. Now, the Heat is a very interesting team. Obviously, they are a team that doesn't really push the pedal to the metal, if you will, during the regular season. They are a team that turns it on when they need to turn it on, obviously, in the playoffs. So for the Miami Heat, as long as they make it, whether that's in the playoffs or the play-in, as long as they get in, they'll be fine, right? So will they, try to better position themselves this time around? We'll see. But regardless, I don't see the Miami Heat that far away from the 5th seed. The Knicks, however, I think it's a travesty to put them at the 6th. Simply because if you look at every other team, you can say that they've gotten better, and that has given them points and, pushed them further up the ladder in terms of the seeding. But, to say that the Knicks are the 6th seed, when in my opinion, they've gotten better by adding Dante DiVincenzo. We lost Obi, but let's be real. Obi wasn't really contributing that much to the team. Stylistically, because of Coach Tibbs, don't get me started, guys. I don't want to go there right now. But I believe that the Knicks have gotten better with this addition. There's still a few holes that the Knicks need to fulfill. But, when you're looking at a guy like DiVincenzo, whether he's coming off the bench, most likely he will, he adds a dimension to the team that they didn't really have last year or seasons prior, and that's a true three-point shooter. You look around at the Knicks roster, they don't really have, that bona fide three-point shooter. And when you bring in a guy like DiVincenzo, he's going to open the floor up completely for other guys to thrive, namely RJ, mix and match, a couple of matchups we'll see. But I believe this has made the Knicks better. Now, if you ask me, right, I think that there needs to be significant changes to this predictions, conference seedings. So, again, going back to the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, pick your poison, right? Milwaukee won, Boston won, it doesn't really matter. Those will be the number 1 and number 2 seeds, rightfully so, right? But when we're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers and the Cleveland Cavaliers being the 4th and 5th seed, and we're talking about the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks being the 5th and 6th, I think they need to be swapped. So what I envision seeing is that you have the Milwaukee Bucks as the number 1 seed, the Boston Celtics number 2, the Miami Heat. I'm actually going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say the Miami Heat will be the number 3 seed this team, especially if they pull the trigger and actually land Damian Lillard. Then I definitely see them being a top 4 seed, a 3rd slot for me. And what I'm saying is that the Knicks will be in that 4th slot. I think they will have a much better season this time around, having a year experience with Brunson on the team already, guys already knowing their roles. I truly believe the Knicks will be a 4 seed. In terms of the 5th and 6th, I believe that the Philadelphia 76ers will actually be a 6th seed, and I got the Cleveland Cavaliers as the 5th seed, right? And by the logic of let's go back a little bit. He goes and says that it's hard for me to rank the Knicks ahead of a team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year and out executed them the entire series, but you're gonna go ahead and put the Knicks before them, right? So it's like that doesn't add up. I'm not sure what his logic is for putting these seedings, but clearly there's no reason why you have the Cleveland Cavaliers number 4 and the Knicks 6 when the Knicks knocked off the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm not really sure what his logic is there, but we're all entitled to our opinions, I suppose. But one last thing that we're going to do before we wrap up, guys, is take a look at what you guys are thinking. So recently, a couple of days ago, I put out a poll, going into what you guys believe will be, the seedings for the Eastern Conference. I went ahead and, didn't include the number 1 and number 2 seeds because I truly believe that no matter what, it will be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. However, as you can see, let's take a look at the numbers. So 23% of you say that the Knicks will end up as the 3rd seed. 54% say the 4th seed. 15% say the 5th seed. No one believes that the Knicks will be in the 6th seed. And 8% of you say that the Knicks will be in the play-in. So small sample size, only 13 votes, but I believe that this says a lot, right? And as my opinion, the Knicks will be a 4th seed. That's what most of the people in terms of this poll agree with, that the Knicks will be as well. So definitely a top 4 seed. I think we will be reaching if we would say that the Knicks would be a number 1 or number 2 seed, even a 3 seed. I think the Eastern Conference at the top tier level is too stacked, and I don't think the Knicks are quite there yet. But I definitely see them right underneath that top tier within the Eastern Conference. And, we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll pull a rabbit out of the hat and surprise us all again and, really have a much better season than a lot of us are anticipating. But given the fact that, again, they've added DiVincenzo, they have a full year's experience playing with Jalen Brunson, playing with, half a season with Josh Hart, going through a training camp. Guys are already locked and loaded, ready to prove themselves. I think this is going to be a much better season, regular season for the Knicks, and I truly see them being a 4th seed, and sky's the limit. Let's see if they can make it to the 3rd slot. I doubt it, but I truly believe that they will be in the top 4 slot. But that's going to be all for the video, guys. We're going to start providing more content for you guys now that the season is almost about a month or so away. Try to get to you guys maybe like a couple of videos a week. But let me know what your thoughts, guys. This season, I want to hear more from you guys. I want more fan engagement. If there's something that you guys feel like I should cover, by all means, hit me up. Let me know if there's a topic that you want me to, shed some light on. I'll be more than happy to, shed my thoughts on that. But other than that, guys, it's going to be all for the video. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Knicks will be a 3rd seed, a 4th seed, 5th seed? Where do you think the Knicks will land? Do you think you're reaching high? Will they be a number 1 and number 2? Will they not make the playoffs? I doubt it. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Would appreciate it. Catch you on the rebound.